Did you know that you can use open records requests to help win your personal injury case? Under the Georgia Open Records Request Act, you can request things like 911 phone calls that were made to report the accident, as well as dashcam and bodycam footage from the reporting police officer. And sometimes these can turn into a goldmine for your case. I recently had a case where I encountered this. Not surprisingly, my client and the other party had differing accounts of who was at fault for the collision. When the officer reported to the scene, both parties swore the other party merged into them. Because of the differing tales and no physical evidence on the scene for the officer to comfortably determine fault, the officer wrote up the police report blaming neither party. Based on this police report and the other party's statement to their insurance adjuster, the other party's insurance adjuster informed me that they were denying fault. Now in Georgia, the plaintiff cannot collect if she is at least 50% at fault. The adjuster didn't specify whether he determined the parties were equally at fault or my client was entirely at fault, but in either scenario, my client would not collect anything if a jury determined she was at least 50% at fault. One of the things I did as part of my investigation was send out an open records request for both body cam and 911 calls. Sure enough, as the officer wrote in his report, the body cam video showed the other party insisting he did nothing wrong and my client had merged into him. However, when I listened to the 911 calls, I heard a different tale. In the moments immediately after the accident, the other party called 911 to report the accident. When the operator asked him what happened, he said that he was at fault for merging into my client. So now we have proof of the other party admitting fault within minutes of the accident. Then when the police officer came 15 minutes later, he had an entirely different story. Now, of course, in theory, he could have been wrong in what he said to the 911 operator. However, it is admissible evidence that a jury would hear in determining fault that 911 call. The jury would give greater weight to what the other party said right after the accident, and he would have to explain why he was wrong when he acknowledged his own fault. That's a tough sell to a jury. After being presented with this evidence, the other party's insurance adjuster changed their tune and admitted sole fault for the accident. Now, of course, there won't always be a dispute over fault, but the open records request can still provide valuable evidence in the form of witnesses or videos or photos, etc. Maybe the other party appeared intoxicated on video or was berating the police officer. The point is, always request the open records. It's just more information about your case that can prove to be valuable, and it's best to know this stuff at the beginning of the case.